get started.
Okay, yeah, hopefully you can see my screen again. I don't know what happened there. All good to go?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you, Scott. Hey, Steve, what's shaking over there?
It's Monday shaking.
It is the
Shaking like a Monday.
Monday, the shaking bacon. All right, well, here we are. January's almost behind us. Welcome to another edition of Office Hours. We were off last Monday due to the holiday, but now we're back. So welcome, everyone. And before we get rolling here, just wanted to make sure that everybody in these webinars, whether it be this one or any of the other 8 ones that are being put on sell securities or anything else for that matter. If you do need investment advice, please seek out a registered investment advisor or another licensed individual, somebody like a Series 7 licensed stockbroker that's legally able to dispense buy and sell or investment advice to you. Before we get going here with the content, I always like to take a little bit of time and make use of Barry's Trading Room. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not participating. The cool thing about the trading room, other than it being moderated by Barry, is the fact that it's free, and you don't even have to necessarily be a subscriber to get in there every day. Everybody from seasoned traders to beginning traders. Barry does a fantastic job at showcasing the way he uses the technology, showing you his trading style, and he loves to answer questions. So get in there, take advantage of the trading room if you haven't done so already. Of course, it's Monday. You get myself and Steve with Office Hours. Steve's going to take the helm for the trade. He's going to round out the 5 p.m. Eastern webinars on Thursday. It's come one, not one, not two, not three, but 4 of us in there, myself, Steve, Andy, and Sean, all in there attacking your questions at the same time. So remember, Friday support sessions are a great place to get any type of question answered, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. Now, we've had these going for quite some time now. We're probably going to shift into different content with this time slot moving forward, since more and more people are embracing Brokerage Plus. But for the time being, they are still the TI universities. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 101 through 401 respectively, kick off. Also, always like to take a little bit of time at the beginning here to show how the user base has increased since we introduced the first AI module back in 2016. Of course, 2019 is behind us as well. Here we are almost at the end of the first month in 2020. Has continued, but as you can see, people are liking it, accounts are increasing, so forth and so on. People are digging Brokerage Plus because it's a more intuitive interface to trade from, not taking anything away from our friends over at Interactive Brokers and their Trader Workstation, but clearly the chart tells the story. Whether you're executing manually through our platform, known as Brokerage Plus or add-on, or running automation through it, live orders keep increasing, demo orders keep increasing, and the trend continues in an upswing. All right, here we are on to talk about the action. I'll kick it over to you.
In-house technical guru. I'll take that title, even though Michael technically is the one who's been studying and has all the CM. But that's not to say I wouldn't if I had to. That's just a lot of studying. Like this webinar, I'd made that very pronounced comment. There's no real bear case that we can make, but I said that a lot back here. Short, then you're basing black swan event because you're basically waiting for something, virus, flu, whatever they're calling it. I don't know how many people are in Tuesday is what I mean to say. We pulled out the old RSI indicator, and I don't pull that RSI indicator out much. But what we started to see was as the market was making a higher high and then up here, the oscillators for the most part were kind of coming up, and then market story was today, how we got that kind of gaps up on a good day and kind of rounds itself. Well, this close is really not looking good for the market buyers or the dip buyers, or that it's a bull market, types. Won't name any names, but we might be in for a bit of a shift. We're all talking. I think we all agreed on VWAP means it's an ant. It can be earnings, it can be news. This is the first day of the year, the first day of 2020, right there. So everybody that bought on the first day of the year, how are they feeling now on that anchored view? Here, I'll click the anchor one time. Notice, look at that. Already, this thing is kind of showing some interest. The first day of the year, today, for whatever that. But the cues, as I said, that led us up, have pretty much now let us down. They were down over 2%, 1.6. It's interestingly enough, let's draw another example. Click that horizontal line. I'm going to come right in right about there. There was some prior resistance in this respective chart, resistance, resistance, and then support there. So this line might even be in play for the Qs in the next day or two, coming days. So there's more downside, I feel. It's just my personal gut opinion. I could be wrong. Something could change overnight, but I don't like the way those candles closed over at the end of the day. I'm going to put one more chart up on here, which is the IWM, which is, interestingly enough, was lagging on the way up. It's kind of lagging on the way down, which is interesting. So that was only down 1.13, 1.13 today, whereas the others were down significantly more. So it's trailed on the way up. It's trailing on the way down. It's trying to kind of hug that 50-day, but it didn't sell off as much as the others, but it doesn't matter. In my opinion, what matters is the one that led us up could very well lead us down. 2% down today and 1.6% down in the NASDAQ. Again, for those that maybe joined late, I feel like this is our target right here. Could hit that tomorrow easily. We'll see. So that's all I'm really focused on here at the moment. Jamie, the treasuries, a flight to quality there. Look at the flight to treasuries. I know that I actually, a couple of days ago, I logged in. I overthink this 401k that we're in, but I like to have control of things. And I got out of the heavy weight of small caps last Thursday and jumped into the heavy treasuries in the 401k. And at the moment, that's a pretty nice looking breakout there.
That is, and go ahead and just for entertainment value, go ahead and throw the VIX up there as well and show the how much was that up pre-market. Look at that gap in the VIX as well. Lots of activity.
If I click on this, it actually shows that we were on this a little bit earlier, just using the brokerage plus buy line right there. We were talking amongst ourselves. This mirrors some of the trading we're doing on our funds. So we picked up some VIX down here, and it turned out to be a pretty good call.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm all done.
Good stuff, Steve. Thank you very much. Let me grab it back here.
I'll talk about Matt's question out loud. He said, what was my downside target on the SPY? I'm looking at about let's call it 320. We'll just call it 320 even there. Mike, I'm sorry, Matt, 320 even.
Yep, and that is right here. I'm about to draw a line, just FYI. 320. Because Steve was saying it this morning, 50-day coming into play. Other sources that I was speaking to earlier this morning, they're all like, oh yeah, the 50-day. I mean, it seems to be a foregone conclusion, especially with the close that we had today. And, what I like to term the gap and flap. I mean, all we did, here we are looking at the intraday 15-minute, just vacillating back and forth. A lot of us were thinking, well, might get a lot of selling in the last hour, but got a little bit of a downturn, but nothing to write home about, which, wouldn't be surprised to see a gap down to that area tomorrow, or maybe they gap it a little and it runs down, but high probability that Steve's target is going to come into play there. All right, so my CC windows, and this is a time to talk about, hey, everybody's got their favorite indicators, their favorite studies. Do they work all the time? No. This morning was a very good example of seeing pretty bullish counts in the first 15 minutes, but due to what we had unfolding on, on the longer term charts going, well, don't necessarily trust it today, simply because of what we have going on here. Significant gap down, and sure, we did pop up a little bit in the first 15 minutes, and then 1, 2, 3 for the next hour or so. We did maintain a little upward momentum, but as the picture indicates here, nothing to write home about. Now, having said that, I was pleasantly surprised at how the AI held up today, or the AI, we should say, the 3 AI modules kicking out only 10 trades. So number one, I was pleased with the trade count. In the sense that, on days like today, you're like, oh goodness, the AI might just go crazy and spit out 100, or not 100, but 20, 30 trades. We've seen trade counts of that nature in the past, but no, it was relatively well behaved, only generating 10 signals throughout the day, and all modules ending up green. So if we, added all these up, I'll just kind of roughly, what do we got there? About a little over about 2.1 points, 2.3 points, we could call it, assuming 100 shares per trade, which leaves a little bit left over after slippage. And if you are in a commission environment, even having paid commission and slippage, taking some slippage, probably a little bit today with only 10 signals today and predominantly being long, as we can see from the full trades plotter here. Let me just make sure I'm on all trades. I do believe I am. All, yep, okay. Had 2 shorts in the mix, which really didn't produce much. This AMBA was very interesting here because it wasn't generated until the closing hour, and it's been a very long time, Steve, since I've seen a power hour short or a power hour long make the cut, okay? So we can see over here the AMBA trade, and we'll just cover this one first when we're talking about right here, conservative versus moderate spread, what used to be known as risk on, risk off spread, but we've just simply relabeled risk off as conservative mode and risk on as moderate risk mode. So AMBA, let's just go ahead and take a look at the short here. We'll save the longs for next up. But as we can see here, kind of a classic Holly pull the plug early scenario. We can see the entry price here, 58.78. What happened shortly after the entry? We're just ebbing and flowing, getting kind of close, about 50% of the way to our stop loss, which was up here as the red box indicates. Let me just kind of stretch this out, make it a little easier to see over here. Getting about 50% of the way through the stop loss. Hey, check it out. It's Steve's 10-period fast line. As soon as he gets up there, gets a little rejection, heads back down to the entry price. But before that happened, Holly pulls the plug on it with a reduced risk because it wasn't going in the direction. Time was passing. AI's like, you know what? Kind of reminds me of myself on some of my bumbled trades, right? Yeah, all of a sudden I don't like it. I'm going to pull the plug. I'm going to take my $10 loser because, well, it's only a $10 loser. And then we can see what happens on the next 15-minute bar after the plug was pulled. We get a big downturn through the entry line and into profitability here. So while it wasn't a huge winning trade based on a $100 risk, and by the way, all the values that you see here are based on the AI risking $100 per trade, and then accumulating the proper size to ensure if something does get stopped out, it's only going to be $100. And by the way, in case anybody's wondering how to adjust that option, we click on Tools from our toolbar, select Options, and we go to AI Trade Size. And you can see right here, here's the risk-based functionality, risking $100. But obviously, if we would have been a little more patient here, not a huge winner, but a big difference between losing $10 and making almost $70, right? Big spread there between -10 and $68. So, nothing to write home about on this short trade, but it was a winning trade there. And there's nice spread between conservative and moderate profit here. All right, so now I'm going to sort by moderate profit here. And then we've got a couple here that really stand out in the form of a big spread between conservative and moderate profit here. KLDO, the first high flyer that we had today. We did have another one as well. But check out the entry signal right here. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is about 1 hour and 15 minutes into the open. We can always check that entry time by looking right over here, right about the 1 hour mark in that 4th or 5th 15-minute candle here. We get a buy signal at 8:21, and this is what we always like to see, upward movement as soon as the call is made. Holly brings it to our attention at 8:21. Boom, 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 off to the races. Back to the entry line, period SMA as well, and then after that. Now, even though it didn't consolidate for a very long period here, we could say this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, an hour-long consolidation, including the entry candle. So my eyes, once we get an entry signal from Holly here with statistical viability behind it, also, this was Holly Grail. Now, just to refresh everyone's memory, a while back, Michael Noss retooled Holly Neo. And one of the new features of Holly Neo is it's only looking for stocks that have extremely high relative volume. So we've carried that characteristic and implemented it in Holly AI, or excuse me, Holly 1.0 as well. And if we look at the relative volume here, 5.91 is what KLDO finished on the relative volume side. So this thing was kicking it all day. Usually, let's see here, what do we got? 150,000 shares coursing through it over the 3-month average. Kicked out almost 600,000 shares today. So nice and relatively liquid. Spreads were pretty much intact all day. So the bottom line is once we get that signal from Holly, we're in the money pretty much the entire time. Almost get back down to break even here. But check it out. Secondary pattern emerges. Range break once we get back up here, which is an excellent time to add to a winning position. Not only that, but let's pretend for a moment you weren't even in this position, all right? Maybe you didn't like it at first, don't know why, or maybe you just missed it. But once we come up here, this would have been an excellent entry if you weren't in it, or a good opportunity to add to the position. And then we got a nice little move to the tops here, topping out right around the 923 mark, all right? Target hit as well. Well, actually, no. We can see the wick right up here, but I'm not showing a target hit here simply because, once again, Holly pulled the plug early right here. So let me back that up a little bit. Eyes were playing tricks on me here. We see Holly pull the plug here and cash out for $100. Now, we could have said, all right, I see Holly making the play. We could have been predictive and go, you know what? I think with this volume, we could have made an entry with Holly's exit if we weren't in it already, and then added to it right here. So lots of different ways to skin the KLDO cat today. It was in play. Holly was on it. A couple of secondary patterns emerged, but definitely a big spread here between $100, which is where Holly cashed out, and $416. Moderate profit heading into the close. All right. So whether we get a little bit of that spread, a lot of that spread, the goal is to get used to this and watch when Holly makes an exit, because we say it all the time, and I'm going to say it again, Holly's not the best at exiting. All right. So a lot of the times when she's exiting, we can stay in it, take on a little bit more risk in order to make more, or we can make an entry, or we can leverage our existing entry. So lots of different options in there to leverage the AI. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody there. Now, having said that, 12.67% in a down tape on a long trade today, pretty impressive. That was the big winner until we saw CODX come into play here. All right. And I really like the way that this one played out today. First and foremost, going back to what I just said about Holly not being the best at exits, reduce risk versus a profit save. All right. Holly makes the call right here at 281. What do we get? We get a little sideways action for a good hour, hour and a half. We get below the 10 period here. Econ down, and let's see here. Yeah, okay. We come very close to a stop out. All right. Let's not forget, that's what hard stops are for. We place a bet, we're wrong, this is the loss we're willing to take. And Holly makes it, didn't punch out here, didn't punch out here, punches out right here, okay? So keep in mind how close we got to the stop. 235, didn't quite make it down there. So one scenario plays out, we're in the trade, we almost get stopped out, we wipe our brow, go, whew, that was a close stop out. Now, I've drawn a couple of arrows here because when you're seeing things like this unfold, especially when, number one, we take note. We almost got down to the stop out. We put in a little wick here on the 15-minute, got another little doji right after it. So whether we pay attention to this candle and the wick action right next to the stop level, or this one, or maybe even waited until here to get a little confirmation because, hey, we're below the 10 period. We almost get stopped out, but we don't. And by the way, look at this crazy volume, all right? This little guy kicked out almost 30 million shares today. when it typically only kicks out not quite a million down here, 900,000, relative volume of 38. I mean, that is some raging relative volume. So especially when we see these wicks coming into play, we're like, okay, it got close. Look at the opportunity in this area right here to get a much better price than the AI as we tread water underneath that entry signal right there. So this is one example, one of the biggest winners of the day, where you actually had plenty of time to get a much better price than the AI. Of course, you could have done it here, but once you wait for these wicks right here, getting very close to the stop area, and they don't make it down there, and then we start to tighten up and reclaim that 10 period right there. I mean, right here in this area, it was pretty golden because we'd stood the test of time right here, getting close to the stop, reclaim that 10 period right here, and even here, all through here, could have got a much better price than the AI before the biggest move of the day occurred. All right, so keep in mind, sometimes we take the Holly trade right off the bat, it works, but just because something's not working right off the bat doesn't mean there's not value in the plays that are coming through. All the Holly plays, reduce risk, profit save, sometimes they can act as much better entry signals because it's the AI that gets our attention, okay? And I can tell you this right off the bat, there weren't many stocks like this going up today in this capacity, kicking out this type of volume. And the only reason that anybody here more than likely was tuned in to CODX was because of the AI here. So say it all the time. Look at the AI as you can look at it as a person that trades with statistical viability, probability each and every day without fail, all right? That is the positive aspect of the AI. It's gonna do the same thing every day, and it's always gonna be statistically inclined entry signals, day in, day out. We're working on the exit criteria. We're trying to improve it. And maybe we will get some better algorithms to manage exits. But in the meantime, you know, focusing on the signals, focusing on the reduced risk and the profit saves can point us into some pretty good plays and sometimes even get a much better price than the AI. All right, looks like the questions panel is empty. All right, so we'll just keep on cruising right through the content here. So a couple of good conservative versus moderate profit spreads here that we get to take advantage of. By the way, CODX only finishing up 22%. As Steve pointed out earlier, the IWM kind of lagging behind the other indicators, which could be the reason that we're seeing these small dollar stocks still perform relatively well today. As the big indexes maybe got a little bit ahead of themselves, the IWM's always been doing its own thing, and it continues to kind of do that. So we should take this into the rest of the week and go, you know what? IWM's still acting a little strange compared to the Dow, the SPY, and the Qs. So keep on paying attention to those small dollar stocks. If the setup looks good to you, don't be afraid to jump in there and get it. Okie dokie here. All right, so we talked about the conservative moderate spread. We talked about CODX and KLDO. So a good time to revisit some windows that we haven't spoken about in a very long time. The stocks at all-time highs and all-time lows breaking out. This is, of course, right out of the ebook, the last ebook that we published, the three-parter, I believe. So some very good examples of some trades that I've been in via our little slush fund that myself and Michael and Steve and Andy have been participating in. So let me show you guys the windows that we're going to be talking about. These are the windows right here. Turbo down family, no support. Turbo up family, no resistance. If you don't have these windows, you can always scroll down to channel 4 on the channel bar here. And if you click on channel 4, you'll be able to right click and save these windows to your cloud. I'll take the opportunity just to drop these into the chat area before we conclude today as well. So whether you go to channel 4 or just grab the cloud links, you'll have access to them. So before we talk about some of these plays, let's talk about the mentality or my line of thinking behind them, okay? Obviously, taking a little respite from popping all-time highs, but when we're at all-time highs, what better time to pay attention to stocks that are breaking out cleanly to all-time highs, right? But on the same token, if the market's at all-time highs and just up every day, you got to think for a moment. Well, if the market is just raging and popping new all-time highs, and there are stocks that are setting up cleanly, going to all-time lows with no apparent support, well then there must be something going on with those companies, and I'm not going to sit here and hypothesize what might be wrong with them, right? But you have to think for a moment. Yeah, if the market's this good and these guys are setting up to the downside, well, there might be some validity to putting some of these trades on. Okay, now there won't be near as many, obviously, as the ones that are breaking out to the upside, but I think you get my point here, and we'll show a couple of examples of a couple trades that I've actually been in here to the short and the long side. So real quick, just a recap here. Well, what's going on in these windows? What's the configuration? Now, these are going to be multi-strategy windows here. All right, and there's going to be 3 respective strategies for each window, all looking pretty much at the same thing, but I've chopped them up into market caps. All right, so if we see something coming through in green, it's got a market cap of 4 billion or more. If we see them coming through in blue, that just means the market cap is between 2 and 4 billion, and then you'll see the yellow colors, and those are the companies that are under 2 billion on the market cap. Just to know, hey, are these the big boys, medium cap, or what I like to refer to as the smaller caps, under 2 billion. So same strategy, just chopped into market cap. And when we look at the base filters and the alerts, obviously in the breakdowns, we're going to be using new low and a relatively simple filter set with a maximum price, the market cap, and position, weeding out the ETFs and iShares with earnings per share lows 3 times normal or higher. All right, so once again, this is for the upside, this is for the downside. So let's take a look at the upside ones first. And these are going to go back a few days, each and every one. Some trades are closed out, some are still open. Let's pull up SEM first. All right, what I've done is I've just popped out the respective strategies and I'm going to show you where I actually hit these trades. All right, and some are taking second and third legs up, some are just busting out. But for example, on the day that this one was generated, back all the way in November, we can see the arrow, and you can see what I was playing off of right here. It already missed the boat here. That would have been didn't come to my attention. Then we had a second tier here. I didn't stumble onto this one until the third tier right here. Made an entry right here, and we can see what happened since that point in time. Now, did I top ticket? Of course not. Did relatively well on it. But a good example of a nice clean break. All right, nice clean break here, nice clean break here. If these things are stair-stepping up, doesn't necessarily matter if you didn't make it in the first tier or the second tier. A lot of times they set up on the third and fourth tier, as we can see up here. If they're trending and they keep going and they're under accumulation, there's many opportunities. This thing might coil up, retest the high again, and pop out again. It all just depends on how fluid the bars are when we make the trade. So, a lot of people might think that this is late right here, but hey, if it works, it works. Money's money, right? What attracted me to it is this, just look how tight the bars are there. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. We get a little poke through right here, start holding it overnight, set some reasonable risks here. And, we've learned our lesson here. Overblowing the stops and getting the gain is a lot better than getting greedy and oversizing and getting popped out only to see the thing turn and burn. So everybody's a little bit different. 1 and 2 point stops for me on these plays are typically the norm. So just keep that in mind. You take less size, you give it a nice liberal stop, and then you're not living and dying on every tick that occurs, right? You're like, okay, I've placed my bet. It either is going to work or it's not. I'm not going to freak out about it, because that's the last thing that we need to be doing, is sitting there living and dying by every tick. So SEM was a good one. Vici was really good as well. See, this one looks a little bit different. Right here, we can see the arrow. Nice clean entry. Had to sit a little bit of a wiggle on this one. But once again, if you're sitting with wide stops, you can sit in there and absorb the vacillations and not have to worry about it. Now, I probably got out of this one a little early. right up in here somewhere, if my memory serves me correctly. And then what happened? Got another 2, 3, 4 days out of it. I was just sitting here kind of gnashing my teeth. Of course, the market was starting to soften up here, so a little early is better than being late when it comes to profit taking. So once again, Vici was a really nice one that was produced by Turbo Up, no resistance. Next on the list was this, OTEX. Had a nice little run as well. Kind of zoom out there. Let's see there, that was the all-time high. Got identified right here. Nice little tame level right here, okay? And once again, there are so many of these out there. I'm only showing you the ones that I actually executed on. I'm not going to be able to find them all depending on how much chair time I have each and every day, but these are some great examples. These are some that I actually hit in the account, and you can see the results from these things. And once again, this is right out of the ebook, and we'll show you how to get to that ebook in case you haven't downloaded it yet. It's free. So on the walkout, we'll make sure you know how to get to that ebook and not only see these types of plays, but from Sean, Andy, and Steve as well, and their particular styles. Keep in mind, the green line is the 10-period SMA. So whether we're looking at the daily or the intraday, this is a great indicator, because check out what happens to OTEX once it starts closing below that 10-period, gets a little weak. And then, of course, with today's action, thing did hold up relatively well in the face of today's market. Okay, so OTEX was a great one. This one, not quite so long-lived. I was a little disappointed. I got stopped out on this one today, actually. But you can see the entry level here as we popped those all-time highs. A lot of the times I'll see these. I've passed on a lot of trades where I'm like, how many days? 1, 2, 3, 4. You see these big uptrends, okay? However, what do we have here? We had a little go, pause, go action, and then that perfectly coalesced with that entry signal there. And then, market kind of put the kibosh on it. After we saw the close on Friday, I was thinking this thing might hold up relatively well, but, rising tide lifts all boats, and so does the tide getting sucked out lowers all boats as well. And that was the case that we had in VRRM today. Now, let's see, I forgot to make a box for this one, so we're just gonna have to eyeball it. This is another one that I hit the other day as this level right here was penetrated, WLTW. Now, it's gonna be close tomorrow. Maybe I'll get stopped out on this one, maybe I won't. Taking tightened up risk on this one today, just in case Steve's target does get hit tomorrow, which I think there's a high probability that we will see those levels, just for the record. So tighten this one up to where I only risk about a quarter of what I normally would. If it hangs in there, great. If it doesn't, it's not going to sting that bad. All right. So, as I said, tons and tons of these coming through. All right. I just wanted to showcase the ones I actually took live trades in. Now, on the downside, not near as many, but some very interesting ones as well. Look at this guy right here, UNG. At first glance, you might think, yeah, it's a little choppy, but hey, on the signal right here, on that day, which was the 16th, liquidity was good because volumes have been pretty hefty in this guy. I mean, today was a so-so day as it's kind of vacillating, and check out what happened to it. Gap up, gave it all back today, all right? But check out the industry that we're looking at here. Natural gas. A lot of these natural gas stocks, some of them are primarily gas, some dabble in oil and gas, but the gas ones have been getting pummeled pretty good here. So when I saw this one the other day, I made an entry right here, got short, and I am a human just like everybody else sitting out there listening to what I'm saying right now. And even though I've been doing this for 20 plus years, sometimes I just make stupid exit decisions. And UNG is one of those. All I had to do was sit and be patient. I got all jittery, covered it way too early, and still kicking myself about that. But I learned from it, all right? So I told myself, I'm like, okay, Jamie, you saw this. By the way, on this day, what did I do? I pulled up news, and I'm like, UNG's in trouble. Big write-offs, big write-downs. the oil and gas sector, the gas extractors are getting hammered. And I was sitting there and I was like, this seems too good to be true. You're telling me I got it right here. The company's in trouble and the industry's having some difficulties. I'm like, it just sounds too good to be true. I don't want to risk a gap up. Covered it way prematurely, and we can see what happened. Matter of fact, this thing might vacillate down here, set up a little basic evident area. Well, it came from turbo down. It came through in the color of green. It's a larger cap stock. And as we can see right here, market cap is 7.9 billion, almost market cap at 8. Look at the float. Talk about a low floater. 8.9 million shares. Is that right? That can't be right, can it? Oh no, that looks a little too low to me. In any case, what sector are we in? Coal, miner, gas miners, same type of extraction stock. All right. Also, the ticker can be a great information source whether you're in the trade or not. This guy's been coming through a lot, but look how extended it is. Didn't get this one up here, but Arch Coal has been just, man, down, down, down every day. Okay. So now we had TECH come through. Hey, they're also in the coal business. Okay. So on Friday when I saw this, let me zoom out just a little bit here because I want to show this wick back here, which was the true low. All right. Comes down here and punches that level. I'm like, all right, well, I kind of screwed up my exit on UNG. I'm going to take this trade and I'm not going to screw this one up. Okay. So took the trade as this area right here was violated. That was on Friday. Got the nice gap down today. And then we can see this thing looks pretty grim going into tomorrow. Okay. So hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully I get to enjoy another gap down and I'm still in 100% of tech, and hopefully it's going to pay dividends. And who knows, might see more coal stocks that are playing catch up tomorrow. Never know. We'll see what the old Turbo family no support spits out. Okay, so some very good opportunities here. Keeping in mind that, hey, we're probably going to take a little excursion down on the SPY in an ideal world down to here, and then maybe build a little base and then go attack these new highs again. Or maybe it's the beginning of a downturn. We don't know. But all we can do is follow along, feel it out. And as Steve likes to say, hey, all we got to do is watch the footprints in the sand, and that's going to help us make our decision moving forward. All right, so before I forget to do it, I'll go ahead and drop these cloud links for anybody that wants to join the fray here when it comes to getting long things that are breaking out to all-time highs, or shorting those things that are in the abyss and have no apparent support. All right, so those two cloud links have been dropped into the chat area, and looks like we got about 10 minutes left here, but I'm all out of juice. So if we do have any questions, got about 5 minutes, we could probably take some questions here before I let Scott walk us on out the door here. Questions, comments, concerns, chart patterns that you'd like us to take a look at, go ahead. We'll start the timer. Yeah, and to Glenn's question, you were talking about a composite scan, and as I said there in the questions panel, just sounds like a window that was maybe making use of our stock composite rating. Of course, could be a variety of different filters attached to that window that your buddy was trying to share with you. So not really sure what specific strategy that might be. All right, looks like a pretty silent group out there. Don't see any questions coming through here. So Scott, if you're ready to walk us out, we're ready for you.
Yeah, thank you all. Sounds good. Couple items. We do these once. This out. If you're a hit, this is your best chance to try all the features of trade exchange fees for real-time data and the added support that we provide. Trade-ideas.com/test drives, the URL. Go there, read about the details, sign up, get ready, and we will see you Monday, February 3rd for your trial premium for 2 weeks. Don't miss out. Next one won't be until later, like 3 months from now. We have a series of ebooks. Both Jamie and Steve contributed chapters to. If you don't have them yet, go pick them up. They're free. Trade-ideas.com/setups, the landing page to go to. Put in your email and then get the download links. Great little chapters in there. Each book's arranged by topic, couple chapters per book, and they include cloud links you can add to your layouts. As a podcast, actually put out a new one last week that's an interview with Marissa, our referral partner manager, and Sean McLaughlin. And they talk about our referral partner program. If you're interested in finding out about that and how that can make you a lot of money, if you've got a following, just add us, search for Trade Ideas Podcast, whatever podcast app you listen to, and add us. And even if you're not interested in that particular topic, go ahead and add us as a subscription, because we'll be releasing more and more as the year goes on. We have a code that's good this month, Kickoff, all caps. It saves you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. If you want to get started today, just go ahead and do that. You can also use that to upgrade from standard to premium and save 15% that way too. Jamie's on Twitter at QuantBot. Steve is at Today Trader. We also have at Trade Ideas. Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle. And if you have any questions, always send them to info@trade-ideas.com. That goes into the help desk software, so the question won't get lost in anyone's inbox, and it will get answered by a team member who can best answer your question the most quickly and timely manner possible. Thanks, everyone. We'll have a recording up later on tonight or tomorrow morning. And we'll send you an email from GoToWebinar tomorrow with a link to the playlist where you can find it. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Steve. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.